Hi everyone. Thank you, Bridget, for allowing me to be part of this amazing project. I met with Bridget back in the summer. I participated in one of the Richmond Hill Love Letters workshop at the library. And we talked about this event, and I wasn't sure. I've been working on my memoir. But when I think of Richmond Hill, I think of home. And when I was writing my piece to share with you my story of love with Richmond Hill, I needed to research what we call home. What's the meaning of home? And I went through numerous definitions, and there were two that stood out for me. And one of them is the human consciousness that we have for the word home, which is that a spiritual connection that we have to the place where we grew up, where we laugh, cry, where we establish our family connection. And then there was another one that talks about the instinct to return into a territory that you leave. So I was born in Richmond Hill, and on a summer morning in 1975, and I live at a beautiful home in 124th Street and 104th Avenue, which still exists. And you know, as a writers, when you write, you live your life twice or 100 times, you know, and you always dig into memories. So I found myself a lot of times driving to the house just to remember my third birthday party, running around the backyard with my mom and my dad. And you know, then life happens, and when I was 5, I have to return to Venezuela, and I was raised there by my mom and my grandmother, so Caracas is also my second home. But every summer, I had the opportunity to return to Richmond Hill and I spend the summers with my father, so it was always that call to come back to Richmond Hill. So the fondest memories for me, Richmond Hill is like a keepsake box of my childhood memories. I remember doing cartwheels in Forest Park on very hot summer with my cousins, then burying our faces at the Jan's ice cream parlor and Hillside Avenue and 117th Street. Then having pizza at the House of Danny's by Metropolitan and Lefferts. And a lot of times we will catch ourselves during the afternoon when the sun is coming down, catching fireflies, because I wanted to take a piece of home back to Venezuela to always remember how Richmond Hill felt for me. In 1998, after I graduated as an attorney in Caracas, I made the decision to come back because, again, home was calling me to come back. So in 1998, I come back to Richmond Hill. It wasn't my intention to come back to Richmond Hill, but there's no coincidence in life, and I think home was calling me back. And my first apartment when I landed in New York was in Richmond Hill in 105th Street and 85th Avenue, right in front of Forest Park. So right there, it was that keepsake box again. And Richmond Hill, it's like when I opened that keepsake box, you know, I'm back in Forest Park, this time as an adult, just walking through the park. There's a certain smell in Forest Park when it rains that reminds me of my mother, of my father, who are no longer here. So I always go to the park just to remember them and reminisce of what it was like. Then also, Richmond Hill is the memory of 9/11. I was in Richmond Hill when that happened, and it's also the grief that I felt by losing my mother. And then on the flip side of that, I became a mother while living in Richmond Hill. And now I'm building memories with my son. He's here in the back, and he's also was born in Richmond Hill, so now that I keep feeling that keepsake box with memories for him. His first bike ride was in Forest Park, and I remember him going with his yellow bike down the hill, and I'm running after him, and please don't fall. Also, buying ice cream in the corner, and his first day of school at PS 66. His graduation, and now he's going to middle school and MS 210. But of all the things that I always remember of Richmond Hill is that feeling of being home, because when you come in from another country, we carry those countries in our back, and when we seek that American dream, we're looking for a place that reminds us of home. Even though we're seeking for that dream, we still want to carry home with us. And we're looking for familiar faces and familiar places. And I always found that in Richmond Hill, the diversity, it was always so comforting for me, and it still is, because even though I moved to another neighborhood this summer, I still find myself coming back to Richmond Hill. Yesterday I was so sick, and I still came to 104th Street to the Dominican restaurant that makes the white rice the way my mom used to make the white rice. So I needed that sopa de pollo with that white rice to feel better. And just coming there makes me feel better. Walking by the bakery and buying my Colombian coffee to just remember abuelitas, café con leche. Walking to the Botanica to buy my herbs to make the remedies that grandma used to make. So there's always something that reminds me of family. So when I think of Richmond Hill, I think of legacy and family history. And I find myself all the time telling stories the way I'm telling you the stories now, telling stories to my child. When we walk down the street, when we go to the park, when we stop at a store, when we drive down the house that I used to live, I'm telling stories to him because he didn't have the chance to meet his grandparents. So I feel that Richmond Hill gives me that opportunity for him to meet his grandparents through Richmond Hill, through the places where I grew up, where I spent time with them. He was baptized in the same church I was baptized. So, for me, that's what Richmond Hill is. It's home, and it's the home of my son. And, it's such an incredible neighborhood, so welcoming. Again, like Bridget said, no neighborhood is perfect, but I have to say that as a child and now as an adult, I really don't have bad memories of the neighborhood. It's a neighborhood where I always feel safe, where it always calls me to return. And I think that no matter where I go, where I move, I'll always return. Richmond Hill will always call me back, because for me and for my son, Richmond Hill is home. So thank you so much.
So, as you can see in the program, Wendy created Wendy Angulo Productions, which, could you tell us about it?
Well, Wendy Angulo Productions is my production company. I'm an arts lover and an arts advocate, and through my production company, what I do, I create spaces for emerging artists to showcase their work. So I have created an event called Canvas of Words, which has run for the past 3 years in Queens, where I had given the opportunity to the local artists to collaborate with established artists and showcase their work through poetry and visual arts. The first show we had, it was a sold-out show with 200 attendants. Then we did a citywide tour, and right now we're working on the next Canvas of Word. The next installment will be in the spring of 2017. I also am constantly, supporting writers. As a writer myself, I think that it's important to share our stories. It's what will keep our legacy alive. And so I'm always looking to support those writers, to support those stories, to create those spaces. And that's the only thing that I will, if I was to write a love letter to Richmond Hill, that's what I'd ask for the neighborhood, to provide us more spaces like this so that we can share our stories, so that we can all know a little bit of us and share and collaborate and network, because I think that when we do that, we uplift ourselves and we grow as a community. So I think that's important to do.
Thank you.
Richmond Hill, a little Guyana. 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 Richmond Hill is a place where the Guyanese are ways. Young gal a walk and them a shake up them waist. Them a big up them chest, cause they know them are the best. Bring first place in a beauty contest. Richmond Hill, a little Guyana. 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 One day me been down to Richmond Hill. Me and the boys then we went to chill. Wanted to feel like we in Guyana, so we went down there check out them daughter. When they bust the corner, me hear the song.